Ever feel like you took a wrong turn somewhere? Like there's a better version of your life playing out in another universe? Leo felt that every single day. He was supposed to be a star, a musician whose name would be etched in history. He and his best friend, Mara, had a pact. They'd conquer the world together, one note at a time. But life, as it often does, had other plans. A terrible accident shattered his hands, and with them, his dreams. Now, Leo was a ghost in his own life. He lived in a house filled with memories and dust, watching from the sidelines as Mara's star rose without him. He'd see her on TV, accepting awards they were supposed to win together, and the bitterness would just eat him alive. He'd pushed everyone away, especially Mara. He couldn't bear the pity in her eyes, the reflection of his own failure. That broken promise, we'd make it big together. It wasn't just a memory. It was the soundtrack to his misery. One night, drowning in a sea of cheap whiskey and self-loathing, a strange light flickered in the corner of the room. It was his old tablet, a relic from his past life, now covered in dust. A single notification pulsed on the screen. It read, "Experience the life you deserve. One day, one chance. Visit the exchange counter." It was absurd, probably a scam. But at rock bottom, you start looking for trapdoors. What did he have left to lose? Following the bizarre, glowing map on the tablet, Leo found himself in a part of the city he never knew existed. An unmarked door led him down a sterile, white corridor into a space that felt like it was plucked from the future. There, in the center of the vast, silent room, was a single glowing desk. Before he could even ask, she spoke. "We offer a unique service, Mr. Thorne. A chance to live a day as an alternate version of yourself. A life you might have had, a path not taken." Leo scoffed. It sounded like a sci-fi movie pitch. But the attendant's gaze was steady, unwavering. "We allow you to exchange a portion of your current life, its duration, its vitality, for a single, perfect day in that other reality." The idea was insane, but a dangerous spark of hope ignited in Leo's chest. What if I wanted to be what I was supposed to be? He whispered, the words tasting like rust. A successful musician, healthy, for just one day. The attendant nodded, her expression unchanged. She held up a scanner, and a cool blue light washed over him. He felt assessed, weighed, measured. "One full day of that life," she announced, her voice as crisp as breaking glass, "will cost you 10 years of your current existence and a significant portion of your remaining health. Your life, Mr. Thorne, is not without its burdens. The price reflects that. 10 years. A decade of this miserable, gray existence for 24 hours of pure technicolor joy." His mind reeled. It was the devil's bargain. But then he saw Mura's face on a magazine cover in his mind's eye. Desperation, pure and potent, flooded his veins. "I'll do it," he said, the decision tearing from his throat. "I agree." The world dissolved in a blinding flash of white light. The stale air of the counter was gone, replaced by the electric scent of a packed arena. The silence was shattered by a deafening roar, a tidal wave of applause that washed over him, through him. He looked down at his hands. They weren't just healed. They were alive, dancing across the keys of a grand piano with a grace and power he'd only ever dreamed of. He was on stage. He was vibrant, healthy, a god of music under the spotlights. The crowd screamed his name, and next to him, sharing the same piano, was Mara. Her smile wasn't filled with pity. It was radiant, full of shared triumph. In this world, they had made it. Together, they launched into their signature duet, their hands weaving a symphony of sound that was so perfect, so impossibly beautiful, it brought tears to his eyes. The day was a blur of everything he'd ever wanted. The adrenaline of the performance, the worshipful gaze of the fans, the quiet, creative moments backstage where he and Mara would just laugh, their connection as strong as ever. This Mara looked at him like he was her other half, her partner in crime, her equal. There was no accident, no bitterness, no regret. Just shared success and a deep, profound love. He felt a happiness so pure, so absolute. It was like a drug. Every second was a lifetime of joy he'd been starved of. For the first time in years, Leo felt whole. He was finally, truly, deeply happy. But even perfect days have to end. As the sun began to set on his perfect illusion, a chill snaked its way through the warmth. A voice, faint and cold, whispered in the back of his mind. It was the attendant. "Your time is running out, Mr. Thorne." At the same time, a dull, familiar ache started to bloom in his perfect hands, a ghost of his old pain. He looked at Mara during their final encore. For a split second, a flicker of deep sadness crossed her face, as if her soul sensed the beautiful lie he was living. The final note hung in the air, followed by another explosion of applause. But this time it faded, distorted, and with a sickening lurch, Leo was back at the exchange counter. The sterile white room felt colder, emptier than before. He tried to push himself up from the chair, but his body felt impossibly heavy, frail. He was 10 years older, and not just on paper. The age had settled deep in his bones. He looked at his hands. The familiar stiffness from the accident was gone. In its place was an uncontrollable tremor, a palsy that made his old injury seem like a minor inconvenience. The vibrant energy from his perfect day was gone, ripped away, leaving a black hole of emptiness in its place. The memory of that joy now served only to highlight the crushing despair of his reality. And then he saw her. Not the triumphant Mara from the stage, but his Mara, the real one. She was standing just outside the hidden entrance to the exchange, as if she'd been waiting. Her face was etched with worry, and there were fresh tears on her cheeks. She wasn't crying for a lost dream, she was crying for him. For the friend she had lost to his own bitterness, the man who had shut her out again and again. She had been there all along, trying to break through his walls, trying to be part of his broken reality. The attendant, her face still a mask of calm, slid a small, silver mirror across the counter towards him. "A receipt," she said simply. Leo picked it up, his trembling hands barely able to hold it. He expected to see his own haggard, aged face. But instead, the mirror showed a single flickering flame, guttering low in a vast darkness. It was weak, sputtering, barely clinging to life. His remaining time, his vitality, all traded for a memory. He stumbled out of the exchange counter, back into the harsh, imperfect world. The clarity hit him like a physical blow. He hadn't just bought a perfect day. He had sold the very future where he might have healed, where he might have reconnected with Mara, where he might have built a new, different kind of life. He had been so obsessed with the life he'd lost that he'd thrown away the one he still had. A text message from a mutual friend later confirmed his worst fear. She had finally moved on, unable to keep waiting for someone who refused to be saved. He was alone, with the perfect memory of what could have been. And he understood, in that devastating moment of clarity, the true cost of his deal. A perfect day bought with your future is nothing more than perfect regret. The happiness was an illusion. But the regret was real, and it would be his only companion for the rest of his flickering life. Thank you for watching. If you ever feel lost in what-ifs, remember that the life you have right now is the only one that's real. Don't trade it for anything. Please consider subscribing for more stories that make you think. See you next time.